personally excited for the battle of Mithy versus Amazing. Now both moved into coaching staff, former Origin players, former long-standing teammates. So you can win the day. The Lucian, the Rumble, the Akali all banned away. So far, things that we've seen in a lot of our other games.
Yep, see a whole lot of the same here in terms of the bans. The Pantheon is an interesting one because it is banned in most games. Sometimes just makes it through all the way. It seems like very different priorities on those champions, but also the Gangplank that Dan played just the other day being taken away by Fnatic, and that means, well, they probably don't want Dan on something safe in the top lane. Maybe Bwipo wants to put some hurt down.
True, and also Bwipo, I mean, struggled.
Oh yeah, he really struggled yesterday.
The Swain counter pick, we have to assume it worked out well for him in scrims, but just did not work against Alfari. And Dan, of course, still a top laner you have to respect. He's a guy that's hard to get a read on. Had some great games at the end of last season, but we're going to have to see where his level ends up after the off-season and all that practice.
Okay, so Misfits are already doing what Origin did to Fnatic yesterday, leaving the Aphelios up. Now the question is, did Fnatic's priorities shift? I hope they shifted away from the Swain. That's my personal take on that one.
Swain could be a flex. Important to remember, but it will be the Aphelios once again.
Now, Origin's response into this was to take very heavy engage options against the Aphelios here. Make it so that he can't abuse that range advantage he has with the Calibrum or anything like that. The Leona is going to be that style of hard engage, potentially leading to, you know, Razork playing around this bottom lane, giving B-Boy some attention, because yesterday's game, Razork fell really far behind in CS, and that's something you cannot do against Reckless.
Yeah, it was definitely a difficult game for all of Misfits yesterday, and for Razork especially. Had a solid start in the jungle, but could not convert it into anything greater. And now we have our bot lane matchup sorted. Braum, Aphelios versus the Leona. Misfortune, but it's Fnatic who've gotten their hands on the Gragas, the standout jungler so far in the last few days.
That means Razork needs to be on something that can bully it around early, can gain pressure out of the jungle matchup, and be able to, you know, set up some ganks around strong laning champions like that Leona MF combination. Lee Sin definitely fits that bill, especially when you're running the Conqueror on the Lee Sin. Anytime you fight against Gragas, it does go your way, but as we saw in the previous game, Gragas does have the ability to path around his opponent, and in that way still has strong gank setup, assuming that he doesn't get countered out.
It's also harder now with camps spawning so frequently to really deny resources. You have to find them and fight them. You don't really have any other option if you want to shut them down. Now the second ban phase, see what they're going to limit on both sides, because they've matched picks. So it's only top laners and mid laners left to really be respected. The Veigar, Nemesis pocket pick from Worlds. Obviously some memorable moments, as he may have solo killed one or two, we'll call them inconsequential players.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't make finals, you're just not a real team,
it's
you know?
True. It's 100%. You just installed the Fnatic at the same time as...
It's a 2-for-1, baby.
There you go. All right, the LeBlanc going to follow. So mid lane appears to be the focus. I think it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. It was a mixed bag for Nemesis yesterday. He liked the Diana, but obviously Nuke Duck's LeBlanc reigns supreme.
Yeah, what I'm learning about Fnatic here is that they are very quick to adapt, but they have no counters for champions that they struggled against previous days, because the Gangplank, of course, banned now the LeBlanc that also is really difficult for Reckless to deal with. Now I'm wondering if, actually Misfits, they banned away the Yasuo, so the Ornn is left available, and this is something that I think Bwipo could try to look for, especially if he's blind picking his top lane champion against something like the Misfortune. You drop the R button down, and she can't really do much of anything.
And we have to remember, Bwipo is the king of blind pick Ornn in the era where nobody was blind picking Ornn, and I feel like by banning the Jax away, it's just further evidence that they might be setting up for that.
And the thing is, Misfits don't want to pick Ornn because there's a Braum on the other side. That guy can just chuck his wall up and deny it. So even though they have first pick coming out of this secondary ban phase, if they were to take that champion, I would be very, very surprised.
Yeah, got themselves caught there. Have to see if the Yasuo ban would have been worth it. Hard to know for certain. But they're taking their time here, debating on what they want to blind pick. It will be the Orianna for Febiven in the mid lane. But it's hard because obviously Bwipo has a lot of counter picks, a lot of picks that are kind of unique to him that he excels at, but he's also just the blind pick of top lane.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a situation where I think Fnatic have the choice, you know? For so long, they've always been the bot lane focused team. They could select to go for something a little bit more carry potential in the top lane, but I still really believe in the Ornn pick. I know Bwipo loves himself some Aatrox, and that's a safe blind pick for the most part too, up top side, but I can't help but feel in the back of my mind. I remember Dan, especially back when he was playing in EU Masters, he loved these ranged champions. He loved to bully you up top side. So with Misfits saving last pick for him, he has the option now to really try and take something and slam home this Aatrox.
But one thing that I really love about the Fnatic draft that they have today that they did not have yesterday is this Gragas pick. Now they have Peel for Reckless if he gets ahead. Whippo and Nemesis can be free to dive the backline and not have to worry about protecting that AD carry because there is a little bit more of a form of disengage. But
Nocturne, let's go!
Oh,
Nocturne mid lane, or Nocturne top lane.
This is your mandatory 5-second Vedius shout out. Solo lane Nocturne.
No. So here's the thing, right? I do with Vedius a lot. He plays the mid lane Nocturne. But there's also the top lane Nocturne, and I have to say, I know of at least one Nocturne main on the European server that is a top lane Nocturne player, and he's a higher elo than Vedius. So I just got to put that out there. So top lane Nocturne, probably pretty sweet.
All right. Well, regardless, here we are. Two compositions with very different goals. But I would like to talk a little bit about what both teams have going on now. It's very easy to identify the wombo combo of the Orianna, the Leona, and the Misfortune. But what else do you see here, Andrew?
All right, so there's so much going on. Honestly, we're going to have to track a lot as we get into game. Right now, we have heavy dive from both teams. This is going to be a game where it's all about Misfits piling up and killing Reckless, and it's all about Fnatic piling up and trying to dive onto B-Boy and Featherman. The big difference here, though, is that I do feel like with a Braum next to Reckless, they have a little bit more peeling options here to keep their backline safe.
Now, early game, always the question we're going to shift to, inevitably jungle pathing, seeing what Razor can do. Had some clever starts in his game yesterday. A similar story for Selfmade, who really got the ball rolling early on, burning 2 flashes from the side of OG. But can both players look to improve their performance to more of a lead? And quite frankly, I am super excited about this game because there are so many champions that I want to see. One of them, Diana. More Aphelios, always excited about it. Maybe other people aren't as much, but Nocturne top lane. You say stuff, I'm going to pro build what it does because I don't know.
All right, so honestly, I've seen a lot of crazy different things because, like, I've seen Vedius play the top lane Nocturne. It usually runs into a lot of problems when I play with him. You see, Nocturne has a lot of wave pushing tools.
Did you try to call it champion Vedius?
I did call it champion Vedius. Sometimes you get confused when Nocturne's in the game. So because of his passive that gives him, that AoE cleave around him as well as the Q, it's very easy to push waves on the Nocturne, but Nocturne doesn't really have a natural escape to get away. So if you're naturally pushing waves in the top lane, you have to be very smart about when you do it, because with an Aatrox there and a Gragas, there is CC, there is ability to be ganked. That being said, when he does get into extended fights, especially with that lethal tempo, because he breaks the attack speed cap, he gets so much, and also when he's standing on top of his darkness trail, he gets a ton of bonus AD. That becomes really, really powerful in extended trades against virtually any champion.
Now I have to see if Whippo's prepared.
And Vedius taught me all of that.
There you go.
I'm being honest, guys.
So surprisingly, Nocturne top lane has been played before, and apparently it's 2-0 in European history.
Broken.
So undefeated.
So I have another big brain strategy here for the Nocturne, and it's not as an Aatrox counter. This is hold that thought.
Getting engaged on here. Severum just going to heal him right back up, though. That was definitely not the trade that they wanted on the bottom side of the map.
It's a great segue, though, for us to take us into the bot lane, because Nocturne ultimate as a counter to Aphelios. Aphelios, land that Calibrum ult, land that Calibrum Q. He gets infinite auto attack range, but as soon as darkness comes down, he can't see him anymore.
Yeah.
Deny the autos.
And now Razork is getting in, though. This is what we're talking about. Gragas not going to win out on a lot of these duels. The smite comes over. Razork just going to be happy for the Gromp. That's going to be his first camp taken, but will deny Selfmade second. And is he going to be willing to chase down to the Wolves here? Looks like
for
the answer is yes.
Yeah, because Resort just wants to buy space for his Nocturne. This is what I was sort of talking about, right? Nocturne wants to be pushing, bot lane level 2 all in.
Another engage. Braum immediately going to use the wall there. Onslaught now coming out. Denik taking the bad end of that trade, but Hylissang getting chunked down, and B-Boy's still very healthy. Repeated aggressive trading here from the Misfits bot lane.
Yeah, you do get to see right there how the Aphelios Braum combo works. Aphelios gets a bunch of attacks out in a very brief span of time, instantly proccing that Braum passive on towards Denik. Denik lucky he had the Aftershock up to try and soak up a bit of that damage. But now you're just going to see, I believe, Resort continue to try and track Selfmade and make sure they can't punish top lane.
The flash in, he goes immediately in onto Dan. Dan couldn't spell shield there because he's not level 3 yet. And Whippo's now on the chase. Nocturne in the solo lane. Doesn't have the Umbral dash, but now it's Razork on the bottom side. Reckless is going to find the snare. That's going to be first blood, and this is bad. Extended fights with Aphelios are never going to go your way. Reckless looking looking for the follow-up, looking for the CC. The stun is there. Razor's neck on the menu. Reckless, is he going to fish for it? The lockdown is coming, just a few seconds away. Can he finish it? Calibrum won't connect. Whoa! The patience and the kill coming through from Reckless.
Holding on to it right there. The kill goes down. That's 2 onto Reckless. Massive win for him. And now Dandan with the big trade in the top lane. That's so much damage onto Bwipo. Bwipo should be able to TP back into this lane though and make up for it. But Fnatic have jumped out to a massive early lead.
Nemesis getting aggressive there as well. But as you said, Dandan burns the TP to get back into the top lane and win out on that trade. Bwipo will be forced to respond with one of his own, most likely. But Aphelios 2-0 start, that is going to be very oppressive.
Especially because it starts out with a straight 2v2 kill. I mean, Resort sees Selfmade. Selfmade's only level 2. This should be a one fight for Misfits, but the double Braum stun going onto both champions at the same time, on top of Reckless holding onto the Gravitum gun right here, you know? I believe he was able to burst through his secondary weapon, so he has that CC, which is just so incredibly powerful, and then he just yoinks him. Yoinks him with it. He held it that entire time.
It's about a 10-second cooldown early, so he uses it the first time, and then the 3.5-second decaying slow, as long as that's on you, so for 3.5 seconds, you can reactivate at any time. Well played, well spaced, and that's the thing you have to respect, I think, on Aphelios. When he's low on ammo on a gun, it means he's going to get to cycle through 3 abilities very quickly in any given fight, and he's a lot more of a threat, especially when one of the guns is Severum, which isn't, honestly, the highest DPS early on in the game.
Yeah.
But now
this is going to be bad news, right? Because, of course, now Denick doesn't have his splash either. Still holds on to the Ignite, but this was a bot lane where I think if you got Lee Sin down there early, you were expecting to get kills. We talked about Misfits knowing that Fnatic, their tendency was, we will first pick Aphelios if he is open. Misfits said, let's get some dive in there. We'll put together the Wombo combo. We have the MF Leona. We have the Nocturne level 6. When Nocturne hits level 6, he's supposed to roam into mid lane or into bot lane, especially with this CC setup to find a kill. Now that Aphelios has a BF sword and 2 kills under his belt, he can just turn it around on you, especially if he has, you know, one of, like his DPS gun, right? The white gun, you can just drop it on the ground and you just can't fight into that.
No, very difficult. Terrifying champion with a lead, but for now, Razor trying to set up, trying to find an opportunity to gank. No level 6 for Dandan quite yet, and that's important because you talked about a lot of these windows. You talked about the opportunities for Misfits, but most of those opportunities come around level 6. As a result, they're kind of just waiting at this stage. Dandan with a lot of healing on the Umbral Blades just to make sure that he can sustain in this top lane matchup, but for now, no greater advantage. Sadly for B-Boy and Denick, significant disadvantage here in terms of XP. Nemesis, though, getting pulled in. Febvin.
Look, bot lane and dive's happening too, but top lane.
Bwipo now stepping back, wants to turn this one. The fear is still kicking down. Dandan is going to be able to spell shield. That was clean. Can he make it out to safety? The shield is coming in. The TP being followed up. They're going to fall. There's too many fights across the map. That's going to be 2 on the top side. Instantaneously, the double kill for Nemesis and another one on the bottom side for Reckless. Fnatic are spilling blood everywhere on this map.
Yeah, Fnatic just taking over. It started in the bottom lane. Reckless turning on the wave clear, setting up that massive triple wave stack. Not only getting the kill onto B-Boy, but now making sure that he's down 20 CS and Infernal Drake on the top of it as well. And 1 TP later, Nemesis has his double too. It's a disaster for
This is something that Fnatic as a team have always been fantastic at in the recent years, Ender, is if you overcommit on a play and they have a teleport, they're going to be there right when it matters. They're always able to turn those moments around, and insult to injury is the fact that the bot lane play also went in their favor.
Well, it's also really important to know that... oh, no. I was just about to put... Oh, God, no.
We're going to wait.
Vedius just put his...
Ladies and gentlemen, a special desk is a special guest is joining us at the desk. It's your one and only.
Oh, I see. Vedius is showing up because Nocturne's already died in the laning phase. I can't...
You can't hear it. It's not
talking to my mic.
Hey guys, listen. No! Okay guys, listen. I know this doesn't look good for the Nocturne top lane right now, okay? I appreciate that he might be struggling, but I just want you to know that the champion does very well into this matchup, and, as Ender described, can in fact win the 1v1. The problem is the jungle intervention, and so if we could just remove them, you would all see how good Nocturne top lane actually is.
They nerfed the jungle. They're not supposed to do anything. That's what Ender told me.
I'm just don't blame the pick. Blame the players. Okay?
All right, I think that's your cue. Goodbye. Thank you, Vedius, for your support. That was lovely. Thank you, audience, too. Vedius, ladies and gentlemen. A true class act. Don't blame the pick, blame the players.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I have a sub.
That's going to be the all-in. They're going to immediately go down. Diana's going to find a bit of extra damage, but Dan, is he going to make it out? Yes! Tower shot will not be enough, burning a lot of resources, but the dive coming through.
Uh-oh. Self-made on the way. He does not have his ultimate. Oh, he's dead.
They're going to try to lock him up. They're going to try to knock him down. Lee's still going to fall. He's going to try to get out, but he can't. 1-for-1. Tower takes him down in the end, and now Misfits are fighting back. This is what you want to see.
They're about to take this 2v2. Oh, if that Q landed. But they're still going to take it.
It's going to go in. That's going to be the onslaught. That's going to be a ton of damage there as well. Reckless now on a rampage.
That's like one of the best single target DPS combos too right there. He has the red gun and the white gun. Just get melee range on top of them. Instantly procs that from passive. See the dive one more time because Nemesis does try to stay alive, right? With the ultimate coming around. I believe Dan actually got the spell shield to be able to block that one out, and Razork takes 2 tower shots. Had he been able to dodge away from one of those, it would have meant his life. But then Selfmade just gets really, really over-aggressive.
But just really well timed for Denik. Like, setting this kill up. Obviously, Razor, maybe a little too hungry for that kill there to make it a 1-for-1, but that could have been disaster if Leona did not intervene.
Well, we didn't want to show what Aphelios just did?
Yeah, Aphelios pushed Q.
That seemed really fun interaction for Dan.
He was already dead.
Guys, it's a cover-up, I'm telling you. They don't want you to see. They don't want you to know.
The nerfs are coming. We've seen them. They may have called them adjustments this patch, but we all know how it was adjusted. And now we check in on the game state, and the thing is that as great as that play looked for Misfits, 2-for-1 in the end for their favor, it's still a fat gold lead for the side of Fnatic. Almost 3K in their favor. All 3 of their respective carries very far ahead of their counterparts.
So Razork, I wonder if he tries to look for a really nasty flank here. He has flash up, so he could potentially ward hop flash behind a Reckless if they wanted to set it up. But he doesn't really have a vision. He doesn't know, if Selfmade could be in the area. And it looks like without that knowledge, they're going to back away from this one.
Hearing a lot of communication on the Misfits side. One of the luxuries of being close and being in the studio, you can always hear when the communication gets a bit frantic, but it looks like waiting for cooldowns. Dan's ult's coming up, and that's kind of our cue. When he has ult, when he has wave prio, kind of expect him to roam. The downside, he's level 6 to Bwipo's level 9.
Ulti did just come back. It's really interesting Razor go up into this top lane to find this. Obviously the wave is pushing out, so Bwipo's trying to get aggressive.
Yeah, but he sees it. He knows it's coming. He knows it's a bad trade for Dan. And now Denik's on the way in. Bwipo going to tank a lot of pressure here. They're still trying to finish this one off. Bwipo's just going to cut through the entire team. Goodbye to Dan. And the rest of the team has to turn tail and run.
So Bwipo just 1v3 casually.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can say what you want about Bwipo's Swain or his Rengar, but his GP and his Aatrox are scary. You have to respect these picks.
At the same time, Fnatic just take over the rest of the map. Nemesis bot lane taking the tower, mid lane almost goes down there with the Herald. I'm trying to rewind my memory, see why when Dan's ultimate is up, are we going to attack his lane? And now Razork in a lot of trouble. No, it's Tilly.
Overstays his welcome. Maybe can take him to safety. Hillsang now wants to back up, but no, Febiven perfect timing there as he comes out of the stopwatch. But Denik now going to move in. Selfmade goes gold. Gets a lot of cooldowns. A good block in the body slam coming in. That's going to be ulti coming in from Misfortune. Selfmade. No, not enough.
Okay, I really wish that Razork had let Febby run that one down. Selfmade, he was going to run into a tower anyways. It wasn't going to be an execute, but now it's a dive in the top lane.
Talked about
that's a 3-level difference.
Oh, that's so much damage. He can't spell shield enough. Reckless just walks in, onslaughts him down, and the lead is too massive. 0-4-1, 55 CS Nocturne to 110 on the side of Bwipo. This is just not a fair fight.
Honestly, I can't help but feel bad for Razork. Now he knows what it feels like.
You can't do that to people, Bender.
That's why I do it with Vedius. Vedius plays Nocturne in solo lane. Should I keep explaining the joke?
No, it's
I'm a jungler.
It's good. It's good that you took the time to explain it because people thought you were hard blaming anyone else. Oh. There it is. Now the game has fallen, sadly, disastrously out of control for the Misfits side. We can expect maybe 1 or 2 more Nocturne ultimates, but he's so underleveled that it's not quite the threat that it once was, and Razork now has to run for the hills, pull back, just barely not going to connect, trying to kick back, but Nemesis goes in, getting a lot of cooldowns there, but has to trade his flash to do so, and in the meantime, the People's Champ himself is up in the top lane, solo taking a tower.
I just want to check in on that gold one more time, because right now, 7,000 in the pockets of Reckless. You can see that is more than twice as much as Dan. Ouch. You can see that Hillsang has more gold than Dan.
Also ouch.
Ouch.
That's brutal.
And the worst part about this is like, what? No one will ever have the courage to play solo lane Nocturne again, right?
Yeah, because you flamed it to oblivion.
Yeah, it's over. Sorry, this was the one shot we had.
Well, and the thing is now, the good news is Febiven is farming. Febiven is doing okay. He's just behind the 3 primary carries. The bad news is Reckless is deleting this tower, as Aphelios can do.
So that's the thing with the white gun right there, the crescendum. All right, sweet. The closer you stand to your enemy, the faster your attack speed is, because you know when it returns, you get auto again. It's kind of like Draven's axes in a way.
Not at all, but okay.
You know, you pick it up and then you.
Yeah,
if
sure.
he only ever had one axe that he could throw.
Yeah, if he couldn't also just regularly auto attack, but yeah, sure. it's you know, similar.
I'm trying to think of a way to explain it, because like
tennis and football
the champ's
both
just
involve
got
balls. You're
so
right, that's
much
true.
going on. He's got so much going on.
It's true.
It can be confusing sometimes. Like when he picks up his Runeance Hurricane, he just throws out 3 bullets every auto.
Yeah. All right. That's a big number, 1,560 to 360.
How big?
I mean, that's 1,200 gold difference. Yeah.
I did the math. I checked it.
I appreciate you.
Took me a second.
Whoop. That's going to be the max range slow. Febiven's now going to be in trouble. Does manage to get out to safety. A parting gift from B-Boy as he throws that ultimate out. But once again, Misfits fishing for scraps. Maybe they can find the pick. Maybe Hill's going to get kicked out there. The kick's going to go through. Leona's going to get the follow. B-Boy's there. He doesn't have the ultimate anymore, but maybe they can get this one done. Sadly, Reckless is incredibly powerful. If they try to keep this fight going, it might just turn against him, but B-Boy has the confidence to go
out of range
and get the kill. Denik. Dan's here as well. The ultimate's already been used. Denik needs to make it out to FG because here comes Nemesis. As Nemesis finds a way into this backline, the fight will simply end. Denik going to go back. He's going to be the sacrificial Leona to keep his team alive, but Blippa wants to keep the fight going. Not going to have to walk away, but overall, I think an okay exchange for the side of Misfits.
Yeah, I mean, Misfits were definitely looking at 2 kills right there, but Dan, without the level 11, he's out of range for the ultimate. He was trying to get into the backline. That could have been 2 kills.
Definitely the wrong play. Instantly dead. Dan is next. Are you kidding me? That was terrible. Fnatic just wiped the floor with Misfits, and you don't own any part of the map, Misfits. I need to make that clear because you cannot walk into your jungle like that. And if you hear the crowd, maybe not to the audience either.
The whole map belongs to Fnatic. They just let the peasants sometimes come, you know, farm the land, farm the camps, but no, not here. Denik, he tries to get this turnaround, and again, at the start, it's good, right? They combo it. Razor gets that double kick, and then Dan tries to come in, and he's out of range. And then B-Boy has to flash forward to get the kill, barely unable to finish off Hillsang, and that's where the turnaround comes on through, because then all of a sudden Whippo, level 11, enters the fight. Nemesis as well can show up, and with Hillsang just barely tagging that final Q, they get the kill.
Then they're fine. Then they walk back in, and that's the part we don't see, and that's the part that I think made us both quite angry, is they walked back in for no reason. And now B-Boy potentially in trouble again. That's going to be all the caliber was going to mark. That's going to half health him. If that had hit one more stack of the because of blows, he would have certainly gone down.
I've seen crazier clips. I thought maybe he got
true. 2 items for Reckless, though. No IE quite yet. We got bits and pieces on the side of B-Boy. No Essence Reaver, no Infinity Edge. But all of Misfits remaining grouped, hoping to pick off 1 or 2 members. But quite frankly, they're running out of options. TP coming in on the backside.
That's a double TP.
That's going to be Whippo.
From both sides.
Nemesis is here as well. There are not enough spell shields to go around. Nemesis pulls the entire team back in. Reckless, where's the ulti going to be? That's going to be 1. Can they find the follow-up? Whippo chasing. Febiven, sped up by the phase rush, will make it out to safety, but Reckless ult not available quite yet.
The crazy thing is, because there's no neutral objectives, Fnatic just keep forcing fights down mid lane. They're working, so keep taking them by all means, but there's nothing they can convert it into. They've already taken all the inner towers except for the bottom lane, so it is just rinse, repeat, fight, get kills, get summoner spells, take all of the enemy jungle, deny that completely, and make sure it's Reckless, it's Whippo, it's Nemesis, these carries picking up all the enemy minions.
And this is such a different pace of game, Andrew, than our previous game.
Thank God.
This is...
I will take this any day, Draco.
I mean, I love it too. Look back at this fight, obviously Whippo going in. You've got Nemesis on the backside too. The only sad thing is Reckless is so far away, he can't finish off all these kills, but
Yeah, it's unfortunate too. I can't quite tell what Reckless's second hand right there was.
Chakra.
Yeah.
So he's hoping to get.
I think he had one last shot of Infernum before, but he wasn't able to get in range to pop down the massive AoE damage to combo it with Nemesis. No. Big ol' pull in with the ultimate. I don't know what fight you call it. It's kind of like a... Wait, everyone used to call it like the Shockwave, right? Because it was like Diana had Shockwave on her E, now she has on her R. She's playing against Orianna.
It's called Moonfall, clearly.
Moonfall.
Which I knew definitely before you asked that question.
That's the
one. It was just letting you run around in circles.
Like there's an effect.
Yes.
Pull everything in.
Yeah, like the moon's gravity.
No, like a...
Like a shockwave?
Yeah, but it's something.
Black hole?
No. I mean, that's like what Misfits see when they look top lane in this game.
You're right, dude, come on. Let live the man. He tried his special pick. It did not work. And it's tough because now he's got, you're going for the Ravenous Hydra, but it's really just the Tiamat proc that you want to keep pushing. Misfits have got one, maybe two opportunities for a sick wombo combo before this game actually just ends. Tower is going to break. Fnatic are pushing in. But this should just be the end. Oh my lord! An engage coming in from Aphelios. You fall behind against the champion, you lose the game. It's that simple because Whippo is dunking down. And the fountain is really the only thing stopping Fnatic from killing the entire Misfits team at this point in the game. A disastrous game for this Misfits lineup. And Fnatic showing us what they can do with Selfmade on the lineup.
Just waiting for some minions now. Misfits, what are you gonna do?
Go all in is what it looks like, but they can't get anything done. Reckless is just doing too much damage. He's untouched, and when you ignore an Aphelios, the game also ends. Razor's gonna go back. He will save his own life, but Fnatic will end the game. Less than 20 minutes! Yes! 1957, what it looked like.
So I've got bad news, Dracos. The timer actually keeps running until the victory thing pops up, and I'm looking at it over my monitor. It's 20 minutes and 1 second. And I believe that's how they mark the official timer.
Abysmal performance.
Complete failure from Fnatic, I have to be honest. But not from Reckless. 10-0 at the end of that one.
Great game.
Reminding us why they're first picking Aphelios continually, because when it looks good, it looks real good.
Yeah, there's something about when your entire team is fed and you don't have to worry about any ult other than purple ult on Aphelios. You ult, you get a 99% slow, you snare 3 people on the enemy team, and then they all just die. That is a powerful champion. I respect, once again, Misfits. They look at the opposition, they go, we've got this special pick, we've got this special strategy, we're going to delete Aphelios every fight, we're going to win. I assume that's kind of what's going through their head. Sad thing is, the lane phase didn't work. It's a similar story in OG versus Schalke. Same thing. They thought the Renekton Elise was going to work for them. Didn't. And you can see when these early game or very kind of one idea, singular focused strategies don't pan out early on, they just fall apart.
I mean, it's unfortunate too, because I actually really enjoyed Razork's early pathing, walking into Selfmade's jungle, forcing him out of the top side to make sure that Dan could have some space, but it all went wrong in the bottom lane when they went for that gank, and it wasn't just Aphelios one-shotting people when he had 4 items and, level 18. It was level 3 in that bottom lane where he just completely turned it around and showed off the incredible synergy between Aphelios and that rapid-fire auto attack right next to the Braum passive to make it so that Denik just had nowhere really to go.
And the entire team of Fnatic feeling good. They're all wearing turtlenecks and jackets. That's the aesthetic these days, I guess. But of course, key player of the game, Whippo, Selfmade, Nemesis. And it really was a special game because it was an awesome game done quick, some would say.
Reckless is the guy you meant to say.
No, I was going to talk about the game time. Because it's 20 minutes and our average game time coming into that game was 39 minutes. So if you play an ARAM tonight, or you have just enough time for one more solo queue game, you can thank Fnatic when you play that game. Or you can thank specifically Whippo, Selfmade, or Nemesis on Twitter. Your choice.
I just want to thank Reckless. That's the guy I want to thank, Dracos. He's the man that did it all.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Whippo 3v1 top lane.
Yeah, but that was like after Aphelios had done Aphelios things.
You won. Yeah, but you didn't say Reckless did Aphelios things. You said Aphelios did Aphelios things.
Well, yeah, Reckless was just sort of the conduit, sort of, because hear me out, right? Aphelios is the conduit for
his sister,
Alune, right?
Yeah,
she's the one that's chucking him all the guns.
We're in lore now. We're real deep here.
So, okay, never mind. I was about to go way off the rails.
Achieved Chim. More on that one potentially later. But obviously, fantastic once again from Fnatic. Really unfortunate start, I think, for Misfits. Once again, I feel like every game we see moments and kind of glimmers of positive things for this team in this lineup, but they've never come together as a whole. But coming up next, we're going to hear from Rec